Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Irvin, also known as Man. This video is on my secondary channel. If you want to check out my main channel, there is a link in the description. However, this video is going to be about HTTP versus HTTPS. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about websites, right? These are protocols used by websites, whether it's a plain website that you just kind of browse through or a website that kind of asks for your personal data, like when you're buying something, you know? For those reasons, you got to have two different versions of HTTP, which stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So it's kind of in the word itself where hypertext, let's kind of start typing here, hypertext transfer protocol. So I'm going to explain this where anybody can understand what this is after you watch this video. And I always talk about acronyms, meaning the letters. For example, HTTP. Well, what does it mean? You got to look at the words themselves first. So it means hyper. Well, hyper is just something that was added on there, but typically hyper means something that's fast. That's something that's fast happening. And then we got text. We know what text is. We're literally looking at it. And then we got transfer, which we know what the transfer is. You're taking something from one point, and then you take it to another. And then we got protocol, which just protocol just means this is what this is. These are the rules. These are the rules that we follow when it comes to whatever this whole thing is. In this case, hypertext transfer is something. Text transfer here is something that I want you to concentrate on because that's what it was initially designed for. It's to transfer text on over the lines, which are now known as the internet. So the first website was actually created by European Organization for Nuclear Research, also known as CERN. And I'll show you an example of that website, and here it is. Here it is. This is the very first website ever made. Supposedly, this is what they say. This is the very first website ever made on the internet. And you can see right now, by looking at this icon here and literally the letters here, it says not secure. So what does that mean? That means that this website is not encrypted here, at least at this point, at this front end, at this time. So that means that there is no HTTPS. And that brings me back to what we were talking about here, between difference between HTTP and HTTPS. If you add S at the end, it just means secure. Secure, and also means encrypted. Encrypted, hidden, if you will. Right? So that's what that means. Now we know what Hypertext Transfer Protocol is, what it does, and that we know that by itself is not secure. However, if you're using Hypertext Transfer Protocol secure, then we know that it's encrypted. And I will demonstrate this by viewing the packets. So even though we're going to start talking about viewing packets, packets are basically data that are transferred or sent back and forth from your computer to whatever is on the internet. In this case, we're going to talk about a website. So we're going to look at the data, which are also known as packets, that are being sent from my computer to the website, and the packets that are sent from the website to my computer. We're going to look at that. And I was actually going to start drawing here, is what I'd usually do for a shorter version of videos that explain this type of stuff. But in this case, I actually wanted to demonstrate to you how it works. So here's our website. We're going to keep it up here. And I got another website that we can test with to show you the difference between HTTP and HTTPS website. And we're going to monitor packets. Again, the packets are the data that's being sent from my computer and received from my computer to the website and sent by the website. So all the packets, sort of like mail. Think about when you're sending mail back and forth, and I'm talking post mail, not well, just for the sake of explanation, imagine a post mail being sent as literally physical letters. You send one over there and it comes back, you know. Of course, you know, internet mail works the same as the website when it comes to, in the nutshell, when it comes to sending data packets back and forth. So this is why it's called webmail, because it's derived from sending those packets back and forth. I'm assuming that's where the naming scheme comes from. So here we have a network analyzer, which is called Wireshark. And I'm not saying you should go ahead and install this because it's up to you. You know what I mean? It's not something that I'm sponsored by. These people don't sponsor me or anything like that. So it's up to you if you want to play around with this tool. Excuse me. I'm using it here for the demonstration purposes only. So we have Wireshark, and it's a network analyzer that will allow me to read all these packets that are being sent back and forth. Remember, we just talked about them. I send one packet that way, my computer sends one packet over there, and it receives another. That's also known as a handshake in a networking terms. So in this case, we got to tell Wireshark which data do we want to monitor from what. And I'm going to say here the Ethernet here. And we can see that there is already some activity going on. But I'm going to tell it to specifically monitor my local area network, which is where my internet cable is connected, but it's also known as Ethernet locally. But I'm connecting it to connect to the internet, although it's called Ethernet at local level. But we're going to select that adapter to monitor. So whatever you're plugged into, or if you have a wireless connection set up, make sure you select that if you want to monitor that specific packets to specific packets. So I got it selected right now, and Wireshark starts to monitor everything that's going on right now, and this means going over all kinds of different protocols. And don't be scared when you see this right now. Okay, this is normal. What you're looking at is a totally different protocol, which I'm just going to tell you what it is. If I just kind of pause the data here, you can see that data is going over RDP, which is Remote Desktop Protocol, over UDP, which UDP handles the data being sent back and forth. RDP, which is Remote Desktop Protocol, handles the connection between two computers that are using remote desktop. And that's what I'm using right now. I'm actually using remote desktop, and you can see that these two IP addresses are on the same network. So the data, so if I scroll down, you can see there's a lot more data, but data goes back and forth. It's a two-way street, right? I send one packet, then I receive one. And the same thing is displayed here. You can see a source, and then you see a destination. And then in this case, we see that one source. In this case, I believe this is my main computer, and the 103 is the one computer that we're looking at right now, which is the computer that I'm using, that I'm connected to using RDP, Remote Desktop Protocol. And you can see it goes back and forth, because remember, it's a two-way street. You got to send one packet and then receive another one. This is how communication starts, and this is how communication happens, and this is how the data is being transferred. If one of them doesn't go through, then this whole thing breaks, right? And we can see here that if I do IP config /all, we can see that the IP address of my computer here, which is the remote computer, is 103 here, right? 103. So let's find that over here. And here it is. It's 103. Right? And if we select it, of course, we can read all the data. So now we know what kind of traffic we're looking at. Now 103 is this computer that I'm literally using right now, and it's receiving information from 104, which is my other computer on the same network, right? And I'm just remoting into it. Okay, now let's continue with HTTPS and HTTP, I should say. So we're going to filter for HTTP traffic here. I'm actually going to reset it. Okay, we're going to reset it. And then I'm going to refresh this page, which is not secure. Remember, this is the very first website ever made. I'm going to do a quick refresh so we can see the data sent back and forth. All right, and we got a response right away. And since it's not encrypted, when we select on any of these responses, we're going to see more details on the bottom, which we're going to talk about. So again, here it is, the same type of deal. I am sending a request to connect from my main computer. Remember, we just looked at that. Here is 103. I'm sending a request to connect to this destination computer, this destination IP address, which is the name of this website. Here it is. We're going to copy it. Right? We're going to copy it and double check this. We're going to do command line, right? We're going to type in ping. We're going to paste the name of the website. Actually, let's do well, I was going to clear the whole thing, but we still need the IP config stuff. So we're going to ping it. We're going to see a response from it. I'm sorry, I should have pinged. I copied the whole HTTP thing here. But actually, why? I just need the domain name, which is info.cern.ch. And here it is. And here's that IP address that we just saw here. It's 188 and then .184.21.108. And here it is. Sure enough, we sent a packet to this destination, which is reflected here, right? And then we received a packet from it to my computer. And that's how packets are sent back and forth. And the reason we can see this right now in detail, if I select any of these, is because it's just using HTTP and not HTTPS. That means that it's open for everybody to see. So let's look at what's going on here. And we're going to concentrate on, let's concentrate on the one that's on the received packet from the source. It's from a website. So let's see what kind of data we can see here. And I promise you, this is not going to be confusing at all. You know, I'm actually known for explaining things in an easy manner. So here's some description we hear. The first line that we see here, it tells you the size of the packet that's being captured and it's being sent back and forth. And it tells you on which interface. And this is the interface description, I should say. All right, it's ID 0, which is the one we selected. Remember, we selected that local area network first one, which was the Ethernet adapter, right? And then it kind of tells you a description of it. It says Ethernet 2, and then we can see the source, which in this case, since if we look at it carefully, the source here that we've selected is actually from the website, and the website itself is using a Belkin type of network adapter, and then destination here is micro SD, which is my local adapter, and it gives you some data here. And what that looks like here is the MAC address. MAC addresses are unique to each piece of hardware that is in the world, right? So we're here talking about my Ethernet adapter. Remember, we plugged it in, we selected it, and it gives you data on that. But not just that, but also from the source, right? This is the source, and this is where this source is using. So right now we can tell already that this is exposed, right? We can see the MAC addresses here. And then we can see which version of Internet Protocol we're using here. And then this is Internet Protocol version 4 for both of these computers that are communicating. So it's IP version 4, right? This is a standard that's been around for a long time. Some companies are switching to IP version 6, which the IP addresses look way different than this here, but this is what we're using here. These are IP version 4 type of IP addresses. So we got the source one again, and then we got the destination one again, right? And then it talks about, in the next line, what's going on, what kind of communication. Remember, the first example we saw was remote desktop, and it says RDP, UDP, right? And then in this case, it tells us that it's actually TCP, which is Transmission Control Protocol, that received data from port 80, which is the source. SRC means source, port 80, which is the HTTP protocol for the internet, for the website. HTTP uses port 80, and then we've got destination port, which here is 53650, that just means it's transmission control protocol over UDP. And don't worry about that right now because I don't want to get into too much of detail here. But I just want you to know that this was the incoming data was handled by a local transmission control protocol over UDP, which handles the data that's being received. Okay, and then it gives you just a plain description of what this was, and it just says hypertext transfer protocol. Okay, I've went ahead and reset Wireshark. Now we're going to go to a known website that has encryption. Here it is, google.com. We can see connection is secure, it's encrypted. So far we're not seeing any data coming through. Let's do a refresh just to make sure nothing's happening. Let's start browsing. Let's go to news. Scrolling down, we can see there's a lot of stuff there, but we're not seeing any packets, right? Why? Because it's encrypted. The connection is insecure. It's using HTTPS. You don't believe me? Well, let's go to another website here. Let's go to yahoo.com. It's encrypted. Connection is secure. There's a bunch of stuff, even ads. Sometimes ads show up as running an unsecure version, which is just HTTP or something else, and that data will might show up, right? So right now, even ads are encrypted that we see on the right side there. All right, well, let's go to, I don't know, youtube.com. All right, same deal. We don't see anything going on. Refresh. No data so far. And just to prove it to you that we are not cheating here, I'm just going to go back to that same website. Matter of fact, let's go to washington.edu. This is a website where it has a front page that's not encrypted. You can see it's not secure. And then, boom, we have all the data that's coming through because it's not encrypted, right? I know for a fact that Washington EDU has encryption. If I start to go further, for example, if I go to About section, we can suddenly see that it's encrypted. So if I do a refresh page here, well, actually, let me reset what we were monitoring and recording. So if I go to here, well, see some of the parts. This one is actually give you a denial. Right? Look at this right now. All right, so that's cool. It's requesting some of the connection requests on the HTTP because we're probably still requesting on regular HTTP protocol without secure, but it's actually denying that. So it's being rerouted to the encrypted version, which is the HTTPS. So if I go to here, this and that, this website really needs to change their front end to be encrypted as well. It wouldn't hurt anything here. And I'm just going to reset here. Here we are. This is the washington.edu /news. And this one is completely encrypted. There is no rerouting happening. So the reason it came up that one time is because it was simply getting a request for HTTP. And it was saying, no, we want you to use HTTPS. So that is your explanation right here. That's the difference between HTTP and HTTPS. Now, can I set up Wireshark to monitor traffic that's HTTPS? Yeah, that's possible. I would, need to do some setting up, and we can see what's going on, but it's going to be encrypted. And for those reasons, whenever you see an ad, somebody promoting a VPN that says it makes sure web browsing secure, well, all the VPN does is it routes you to a different network, and that network actually might read your data just like I'm reading it, right? They can read your data because they can intercept it. This whole point of this video is to help you understand of what's going on here. However, if you're not worried about the source or where your location is, for example, if you don't want other websites, other apps that you're trying to connect to, that you are trying to use, if you don't want them to know your IP address, then you might want to start using VPN. But using VPN doesn't make your connection more secure. What makes your connection more secure is going to websites that are secured by encryption using HTTPS. So even if I go to do a search here, I'm sending data, I'm going to say, I don't know, what is this, a website about schooling, right? I'm going to do a search for class. I just sent the data to it. I just sent data to this website, right? You understand? And it gave me results, but nobody else can see it. Even if they could see it, it's encrypted. And right, I got the results. I successfully sent data to that website. So the same deal, if I'm trying to log in, I don't know if there's a login here somewhere, but if I was to log in and I put my login ID and password, it's safe. You don't need a VPN for that. So whoever, next time you see a YouTuber advertise a VPN and they say your data is secure, it makes your browsing safe, no, it doesn't. Okay, you can still get hacked, you can still get viruses. It's all about you. You are the main person who is going to protect yourself by using your brain, your knowledge, your common sense. And education is number one. This is why I always give this stuff out for free, this type of education, and I make sure that it's easy to understand. If you like this video, please subscribe, because my second channel here really does need help with subscribers. But I do have a lot more stuff on my main channel if you want to check that out. But please do me a favor and subscribe to this one, because in the future there will be more stuff like this. So thank you so much. I hope you're doing well and your family, and best of luck to you. Take care. Bye-bye.